This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show. This is an intro. Who needs an intro? I don't need an intro. This is just a vape show. It's just a vape show. Vape show.
YouTube, what is up? I'm your homeboy Josh, back at you, and today, two more megatanks to compare. We're taking a look at the ECO12 from CigPet, also known as iJoy. The CigPet, by the way, was sent on over by Heaven Gifts, free for the purpose of this review. And if you use code ANOMBOY at checkout, you'll get 15% off your order at Heaven Gifts, and I'll get a small commission on your order, and I appreciate it. And we're taking a look at the SliderL from Sigelei. These are two more megatanks, we'll call them, in the same vein as the TFV12 and the Magnus Cloud Blaster. Very similar concepts, big coils, big tanks, big airflow. And they're so similar, all these tanks. Is there any one that's better than all the others? I'd be hard pressed to tell you that. I really would. They're all just so similar. In a blind taste test, could I tell the difference between these tanks is the question. I doubt it very much. The CigPet TFV12, CigPet TFV, I'm just mixing up names now. The CigPet ECO12, excuse me. There's nothing eco about these coils if you ask me. They come in packets of 3 and they're ginormous. They're big freaking coils, man. They're really big, and they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cores. 8 cores! Enough, now we have 8 cores. Jeebus, just Jeebus. What I have in here is the 12, so it's the 6 cores, but you can buy them with up to 8 cores. That's just, wow! That's a lot of coils, man. It's a lot of wire. It's a lot of heat, a lot of power. 0.13 ohms, 160 watts. Flavor's good. It's powerful. It's a lot of heat. But you know, these coils, they can take, I'm just gonna pump it up to 222 max power in this mod. It doesn't feel like it's forced either. Like, I feel like I could chain vape that. Good flavor. Very good flavor. One thing that I really like about the ECO12 is the drip tip that it comes with. As simple as it sounds, that's one thing that sets this megatank apart from all the others, is this drip tip. It's this resin kind of acrylic kind of thing, and it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful tip. Like, I would probably buy that tip if I saw it someplace. It's a nice tip that this thing comes with. Also, one thing about the ECO12, not TFV12, excuse me, ECO12, is that it's the only one of these megatanks that has a good fill system. The fill system on the ECO12 is excellent. It's just so roomy. It's so big. You can dump juice in here for days. It's just perfect. Perfect fill mechanism. The airflow on the ECO12 slides completely free. It moves just so swiftly. It's just a beautiful thing moving this. And one thing that's really nice about it is that there's a base underneath the airflow control, so you're not scraping the bottom of the mod when you're doing this. And that's true of the TFV12 as well, and it's also true of the Cloud Blaster in a way, because you know, it's got the airflow adjustment at the top. So they all do that very well. And same thing with the SliderL. They all have a nice base at the bottom of the adjustable airflow system. I like that a lot. And they all have better adjustable airflow than TFV12. Something I noticed about the TFV12 is that the airflow adjustment is just so super tight. It just doesn't want to move easily. I find myself taking the TFV12 off the mod so that I can adjust the airflow. All of them have better adjustable airflow than the TFV12. The other thing that sets the CigPet apart from all of the others is that it's compatible with TFV12 coils, which is a big bonus in my book. Just that it's a bit more consumer friendly, that you know, you can use either the CigPet coils or the TFV12 coils, and they work across each other. So the TFV12 coils work in the CigPet. The CigPet coils work in the TFV12 also, which is really, really nice. It comes with a spare single coil, which is very, very similar to the Q4 coil that the TFV12 came with. Super, super wide diameter, something like 8 millimeters in diameter is this coil head. It's huge. It's just huge. You also get some extra O-rings, a vape band, an extra tank, that kind of stuff. It's not the same sort of variety that you get with the TFV12, but it's nice that with the TFV12 and the CigPet, coils are interchangeable. That's a huge bonus in my book. That, the drip tip, the fill port make the CigPet a great buy in my eyes. Buy, great value for the money if you ask me. Now, the SliderL. The SliderL, the most attractive looking one if you ask me. I think the SliderL just has a really cool look about it as opposed to the others. I mean, they all kind of look very, very similar if you ask me. You know, the Cloud Blaster is very svelte compared to the others. It's kind of skinny in comparison. It's still a beefy, beefy tank, but slim in comparison. The TFV12 has that sort of curvy kind of thing going on about it. And the CigPet has like this sort of oval-esque kind of thing going on. It bows out kind of like the TFV12 does, but it also bows down at the top. It's curvy in the same way the TFV12 is, without all the extra over-engineered sort of grippiness that the TFV12 you'll find. The SliderL, if you ask me, is the coolest looking one. It's the most modern, the most contemporary looking of all the tanks, just because it's straight up and down, but it's also big. It's probably the widest of all of them. It's food grade 303 stainless steel, Pyrex glass, and it's a full 28 millimeters all around. So it's big. It's not gonna fit really well on everything. This is the Wismec 228 Predator. It fits perfectly on the Predator. The other ones, like since they have, you know, a more narrow base, some of them have 25 millimeter, 24 millimeter bases, for example, they might sit a little bit nicer in some of the other devices. It has sort of a clicky wheel on the airflow adjustment, but there's lots of airflow adjustments. A clicky sort of airflow adjustment, I'm not usually a big fan of it, but with the SliderL, I don't really mind it so much because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options that include airflow. So you've got a pretty wide variety of selections there, and it's not going to move on its own and, you know, close off without you realizing it, for example, like some of the others might. So that's one nice thing about the SliderL if you prefer sort of a locking system for the airflow adjustment. It's the only one of those tanks that has it. The other thing about the SliderL is it has both the coolest and the worst fill mechanism of all of them. The coolest and the worst. I love it because it's simple, one-handed. It's just slide and then slide again. It's like the first time you slide it, it comes to a point and stops, and then you slide it again and it opens all the way. But once you open that up with that slider mechanism, the fill port is so tiny. So tiny. You can fit dropper bottles in it, sure. You can fit unicorn bottles in it probably a bit better, but dropper bottles will fit. Problem is that when you're filling it, it's so tight in there that it sort of bubbles out of it every single time you go to fill it. So it's messy. It's messy and it shouldn't be. Like if they made that fill port a bit wider, it wouldn't be a problem at all and would have the best fill mechanism out of all of them, I'd say, except maybe the CigPet. I like the CigPet because it unscrews and you can really just dump juice in there, no problem. You can do that with the Cloud Blaster as well, but it's still kind of small with the openings. The CigPet has probably the most generous fill area, if you ask me. But for looks, you gotta give it to the SliderL. Flavor is good on all of them. You can't go wrong with the flavor. You can't go wrong with the clouds. Any one of those tanks. The SliderL, the CigPet, the TFV12, the Vapeston Magnus Cloud Blaster. They all have excellent airflow. They all have great flavor. They all have great clouds as far as sub-ohm tanks do. I like them all. I mean, they're all good for what they do. is the thing. I gotta give it to Sigelei for having the most attractive looking one. I gotta give it to CigPet for having the best drip tip, the best fill mechanism, probably the best airflow adjustment too, just because it's so smooth. I really like the airflow adjustment there. I gotta give it to the TFV12 for having the most variety of coils out there probably. And just because I feel like it's where this all began, if you ask me. I feel like all these tanks are just trying to compete with the TFV12 in a lot of ways. And the TFV12 is good for what it is, but I like some of the subtle improvements that some of these other tanks have made over it. This one has the worst airflow adjustment, for example. The airflow adjustment, it's just so damn tight, so tight. I hate it. It's hard to adjust. Don't like that at all. I'm not crazy about the fill mechanism. I feel like this fill port in the SliderL, that would top this for sure. Top it for sure, but the fill port being so tiny in the SliderL, it just sucked. And the Magnus Cloud Blaster, I had to give it to the Cloud Blaster for being the only one that comes with a rebuildable head. I mean, that's a huge selling point in my eyes, that it comes with a rebuildable head. In terms of what they come with, it's a toss-up between the Cloud Blaster and the SliderL, because the SliderL, in this kit, you get a set of 4 extra coils, so you get 5 coils in total. The total 12 core coils, the Clapton 6 core things is what they are. But you got to give it to Sigelei for including the most sub-ohm coils in there. I mean, 5 coils with the kit, that's just badass, honestly. And got to give it to the Cloud Blaster just for the way that they present everything to you, the way that everything's laid out, how the coils come in these little tubes, and how it comes with a rebuildable head. I mean, just the fact that it comes with a rebuildable head puts it up toward the top. I'd be hard pressed to tell you which one of these I would recommend over the others. Anyway, until next time, I'm your homeboy Josh. Vape on, vapors.